Okay, good morning, everybody. Just got the green light to start. We got to maintain the schedule, otherwise we would have started a little early. So appreciate everyone coming out today. General Todd and General Francis will also speak, but what we're going to do is each give about 2 minutes of opening remarks, and then we're going to open it up for questions. What I will say is we still laser focused on building an aviation force that is optimized for large-scale combat operations against a peer and near-peer competitor, and we did very, very well in this PB. So the PB that dropped a couple weeks ago, they're saying more volume. Okay, closer. There you go. All right, it was never a rock star. Okay, so this PB, we did very well. We got about 4.7 billion in the FIDEP just for FVL, and we have about 790 million in 20 that's going to be going into the lines of effort you see up here. So I wanted to start on the bottom real quick and just give you a quick update on each line of effort. But the Joint Multi-Role Tech Demonstrator, again, great support from the Hill and from the greater community, from OSD and down to our S&T folks. That 20 million ad that we saw from Congress will be coming out on contract soon, and we'll see, you know, an additional expansion of the flight envelopes with all the JMRTD industry partners. On future long-range assault aircraft, we've had a very good and very solid last 9 months. Finishing up the AOA, that'll be out next quarter, and we'll be done with that Cape Set 3 FLRAA AOA. And with that the requirements documents, we've been grinding on those very, very hard. And with the culmination of that requirements work for a CDD, you'll be seeing an RFI come out to industry with all this work being done on JMR and Cape Set 3 requirements, and we'll be looking forward to hearing back from industry with that RFI that should be coming out in weeks. On air-launched effects, we're doing very heavy demonstration, but you also are seeing a commitment from the Army to really fund opportunities in air-launched effects. Again, you'll see a CDD coming out by the end of this calendar year on air-launched effects, and we're very excited about all the things that we're seeing in our demonstrations out at UMA and at the robotic breach that's coming up for the JWA in Yakima, and then we'll be doing demos really 2 to 3 times a year on air-launched effects. On FTUAS, or Future Tactical Unmanned Aerial Systems, again, we're in source selection on that right now. Really pleased with how the fly-off went in Dugway a few months ago, and the results of that selection board, I wasn't part of that, but again, those results should be out by next month, and we're looking forward to moving forward on that. Getting that piece of equipment back into FORSCOM and into soldiers' hands to really inform our future requirement. On MOSA, or Modular Open System Architecture, again, contract awarded. We have 7 vendors that are part of the Mission System Architecture capstone demonstration. That demonstration will go from now through the end of December 2020, and really informing our MOSA requirements and capabilities with open system architecture. And last but not least, FARA, Future Attack Reconnaissance Aircraft, again, in-source selection with the solicitation that went out last October. Really applaud industry's participation and products when it came to when it came to FARA. We look forward to that down select no later than June for up to 6 vendors. So with that, I'll hand it off to Thomas Todd.
Good morning. Good to see everybody. It's good to be here with 3 amigos. I think we worked well together as a team and look forward to continuing to do that. As the PEO, what we are trying to do ultimately in support of FVL, next slide if I could, is really frame what you're doing we're always in the commodities-based business, but quite frankly, what we're in the business of is delivering capability to those that have desires for us to do so. I want you to think as industry, as you look at that, in several ways. You see some of those up here. Some of this is adverbs or adjectives that really describe kind of how you should look at the environment and some of the goals that we have. So as you get the set of requirements from us through this RFI for Cape Set 3, Flora, or you get anything else that we ask you to look at, please consider these things that you see up in front of you. Autonomy, cybersecurity, cyber resilience, etc., holistic survivability, all those things are really important to us. We've said that to you. You may or may not see that discreetly listed as a requirement, but I want you to take that in consideration. Additionally, as you look at all the other product lines and capabilities that we seek to bring forward, you know, there are 4 things that we always concentrate on inside the PEO. And it's these 4 things. It's really affordability of any solution you ask us to really buy, because we have to buy at scale in the Army. Something unique about the Army is the scale that we buy at is unmatched by any other service. Reliability, we cannot afford to buy things that we find out, and we do discovery learning on reliability after the fact. So we're going to measure you, and we're going to investigate what your assertions are in reliability. We expect them to meet them. We look forward to seeing them meet new reliability standards on the battlefield. Our soldiers deserve that. So affordability and reliability, producibility. I think it's great that you've developed prototypes in the past that you can get off the ground, but that's not what we're after. We're after prototypes or mature production-ready prototypes that we can then take and produce in a way that, quite frankly, tooling can produce it. I don't need artisans producing special prototypes at the Detroit Auto Show. I need somebody that can actually take it and turn it and mass produce it. And then lastly, survivability. So affordability, reliability, producibility, and survivability. Survivability for aviation is in several different arenas. Certainly survivable in the future battlefield. We have a lot of great partners that help with that each and every day. The environment is constantly changing. But for us as well, it has to do with airworthiness. So don't just bring me a prototype that's made by an artisan that I can't produce and then can't get an airworthiness release. Survivability for us also has to do with the airworthiness. And the Army has a great organization that does airworthiness certification. So I ask you, as you look at the things that Wally mentioned, to think in the way of the environment we want it to operate in and some of the illities we ask for it to bring. Because we will make business decisions, we will make prudent decisions, we will do cost-benefit analysis and make a decision whether or not we can afford these things at scale and that they'll operate on the future battlefield the way we expect them to operate. So thanks for your investment. We look to honor that. I think we did that on the 8 program, followed into the ITEP, which evolved into the ITEP program. We plan to continue to show that commitment back to you, and best of luck as you compete. Oh, I'll turn it over to Dave Francis.
Thanks. Well, hey, good morning, everyone. Dave Francis, DAMO AV, and what I'd like to kind of do is give you a little bit of a G3 perspective on future vertical lift. So the great work that General Rugen and General Todd are doing, partnered with industry, has been truly amazing, and the progress that has been made to date is faster than we've seen. All of that is happening in a context, right? So we are having to meet our current obligations, and right now our aviation force is about 83% committed around the world on any given day. So we have the challenge of meeting our current requirements and upgrading our current fleet while getting ready to jump to the leap ahead technology that future vertical lift will provide. And in the process of doing that, we have to look at all of the DOTLM PF as we move forward. That's critical that we don't just focus on the truck or the platform, but all the associated systems with that, as well as all of the other aspects of DOTLM PF that go with that. So as you know, multi-domain operations 1.5 is a concept. It is not yet doctrine. And we want to move as rapidly as possible to get us to the doctrinal employment of these capabilities. So that's an ongoing and simultaneous process as we move forward. Organization is another huge part of the equation that will move in the future, and at the Department of the Army level, there is significant work going on what the future of not just Army Aviation, but all of our formations are going to look like as we fight in the future. So you'll see some movement in the TAA process as we look to build the future force 2028 and beyond, and that will certainly have a significant impact on how we field future vertical lift. How we train it is also going to be a huge factor, not just at the training base, but these will be aircraft that are in different sizes and configurations, so there will be some facilities, things that have to be considered as we look into that. We're going to have to figure out how we integrate that into the training base early so that we don't produce a platform, but we don't have a way to produce the pilots that are going to fly that platform. So all of those things have to be looked at simultaneously. And the last thing I'll just mention briefly is that this is going to alter the way we look at developing leaders. The way, with the capabilities these aircraft are going to bring to the fight is going to have us placed on different places of the battlefield with different command and control considerations that we're going to have to account for. And the way we train our leaders to operate in that environment with those capabilities is also going to have to adapt as we bring these capabilities on board. So we are taking a holistic look at all of these things, certainly leading with the platforms, but all of those other considerations are critical to the success of employing future vertical lift on our future battlefield. So with that, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions for any of us. Is that all right? If I can ask you, so I'm going to get this.
Okay, no questions. We'll see you later. No. Sure.
Thank you, General. T.J. Anderson, Lockheed Martin. Could you talk about mission systems integration for FARA in terms of schedule, alignment with the down-selected aircraft going into EMD, GFE, or if you're looking for new design? How's that going to play out?
So for FARA, you know, the MOSA will be GFE, right? We specified that in the solicitation. Again, we got 5 demonstrations ongoing right now, to include the mission system architecture demonstration, the capstone demonstration that's ongoing now as well. So with those 5 demonstrations, it's certainly informing our requirements. We have 7 planned for next year as well. And again, these demonstrations are going to prove out what is doable when it comes to just how far we can make our system open and still resilient. So with that said, I know that there's the contract for MSAD. We had 7 vendors that were awarded that, and we're pleased with the demonstrations to date.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
All right, all right. I was looking at your mission set, and it contained a wide range from cargo to troop carrying to utility to submarine, offense, defense, to medical. Was the original idea is to combine all that into one craft? Because I think that it was kind of broken up into over several different type of crafts, but is that an original goal, is to combine all that in one craft?
No, sir. I think what you're alluding to is just the FVL family of systems, so Future Vertical Lift family of systems, and we look at that family of systems across 5 different capability sets, one being the smallest, and that's our Future Attack Reconnaissance aircraft, and then 5 being a very heavy lift aircraft. And so that's just how we've kind of parsed that family of systems. We don't think it's one size fits all. We think it's multiple air vehicles. I think when you talk about capability set 3, which is the future long-range assault aircraft, we are talking about that in an assault and medevac mission set, but it also has wider, because it is a multi-service program that is Army-led, there's a wider application for the Marine Corps and SOCOM interest, and so that's why it's a multi-service program. So there is some of that tie-in with a multi-role vehicle there.
In context to Future Vertical Lift's involvement in the RIF program, What's the plan if industry is able to meet the requirements laid out in the RIF program in the next 16 months to field those technologies before 2028?
So I'm not tracking RIP. Are you, Thomas? Just define RIP program.
RIF, Rapid Innovation Fund. Army-
Rapid Innovation.
Okay, so Rapid Innovation Fund is certainly something we can take advantage of. There's a process in which we submit and request those funds when opportunities arise. They're typically for unforecasted or things that mature at a level that we didn't expect them to and are ready. We do that. My G5, Leslie Hyatt over here, she does that from the PEO's perspective. I would say we have about a 10 to 20% success rate of actually getting those funds. They're heavily competed for at OSD and at the Army level. But that largely leans over a little bit on the TRL 6 and prior side, if you think about it. So we've seen a lot of those funds be used for anything that's kind of early and available. Our difficulty with those funds in particular and those efforts that get funded through that is they're just quite frankly not ready to go to development test or to operational test. And in order for us to be able to take advantage, I think at the speed that we want to move, we need things that quite frankly are well beyond what those funds are really appropriated for.
I'm sorry, one clarification. My true question is, if industry is able to provide the solutions at the TRL 8 and beyond level in the next 16 months, what is the Army's plan to integrate those technologies sooner than 2028?
So that would be a different set of dollars that we use in the PEO really to go after opportunities that arise each year. The PEO for aviation in particular has put together what's called a Combat Aviation Brigade Architecture Integration Lab. So if it has to do with architecture, we plan to see you come to that event in this year. We're going to host industry in what is typically used as an open campus for S&T. We would like to use it for readily mature technology that's rapidly adaptable into the system. See you integrate it. We'll provide the architecture. You can prove to us that you integrate it. We can work on an airworthiness release and propose it to the Army for opportunities for integration, rapid integration into the fleet. We've not really had an environment like that in aviation, but we're looking forward this year to that being stood up. Look for PO Aviation to put the exact dates out on when that industry day will be. It'll be more towards the end of summer, early fall. But what that is meant to do is allow you an opportunity, if it's an architecture integration effort, is come and prove your assertions. We're interested in that, and we look forward to it. I hope that answers your question a little better. Yep, you bet.
Good morning, sir. Steve Fortune with Lockheed Martin. So, considering the current Gray Eagle and Shadow and the plans to upgrade the control station and then the migration to the scalable control interface, how does that interact with future vertical lift, the ALE, and future tactical UAS? Is there a migration there of those capabilities?
Absolutely. Make no mistake about it, and this doesn't just apply to UASs. This applies to the Combat Aviation Brigade approach that PO Aviation is taking with regards to all of our systems, whether they serve in an intelligence brigade or a CAB. The goal is ultimately for us to have a common controller, no matter whether it be a future system using future air-launched effects or a current platform using future air-launched effects. Obviously, COPS are a big issue for us. One of the things that the UAS community brings is really a backbone that we can build off of. I don't see us deviating from really where we've been. I know that Colonel Scott Anderson's here, the PM for that. He'll be happy to talk to you offline regarding exactly where we're going with Gray Eagle as it aligns with future UASs. But make no mistake about it, future tactical UAS, advanced AUAS, all the future platforms that are planned to complement the current fleet We plan to stay with the one common controller approach, the one COP approach, and those will be integrated together. We have that right now in that community. That's something we do have. I don't see us deviating hugely from it in the near or midterm at all. You bet.
And I'll just add to that the scalable control interface requirement document will be out this year. We're working very hard on that requirements document with the CFT and the Fort Rucker team. In addition, we're doing at least one demonstration with the extended range Gray Eagle this year to against very high-end pacing threats to make sure we fully understand the survivability of the Gray Eagle and not be anecdotal when it comes to the Gray Eagle or any of our current fleet. That we understand exactly what we could do to make it more resilient, more survivable, and we're committed to that as well. I think we have time for one more question. I'm getting the hook unless it's out there. Okay, thank you all very much for coming out, and please engage with any of our teams if you have any further questions. We have a lot of our staff here participating in the forum. Thanks.